In the White House, there was anger and deep frustration at the latest campaign against South Vietnam. President Nixon and his advisors were determined to retaliate to show that the U.S. was serious about defending its ally. The problem was that going back to bombing North Vietnam would cause an outcry in the United States. Nixon's plan was to bomb Viet Cong staging areas in Cambodia. For years, they had been the springboards for attacks against Saigon. These jungle areas held tens of thousands of troops and vast stores of supplies and weapons. But Washington had forbidden U.S. forces to attack the Cambodian bases. Legally, Cambodia was a neutral state, and there was a risk that American action could draw Cambodia into the war. However, Nixon did not mean to hold back. Operation Menu, the bombing of Cambodia, was to be kept a strictly guarded secret. It was dubbed Menu because the first attack on Base Area 354 had been decided at a breakfast briefing at the Pentagon. The operation was to continue for 14 months. As well as the Ho Chi Minh Trail running from North Vietnam, NVA forces were also supplied by North Vietnamese and Soviet ships, which were allowed to dock at Sihanoukville. From here, they fed war materials to the main base areas. The biggest Viet Cong strongholds were west and north of Saigon, in the areas known as the Parrot's Beak and the Fish Hook. The bases were run by North Vietnamese troops and the NLF. Starting in February 1969, American B-52 bombers from Thailand launched devastating strikes against each of the base areas in turn. Operation Menu saw more than 4,000 B-52 missions, dropping 120,000 tons of bombs. In later campaigns, B-52s supported American and South Vietnamese ground incursions into Cambodia and backed Cambodian government forces against the Khmer Rouge guerrillas. Altogether, in 4 years of bombing, U.S. aircraft would unload more than 500,000 tons of bombs on Cambodia. On orders from the White House, extraordinary measures were taken to keep the Cambodian bombing a secret. Defense Department officials always claimed the raids were over South Vietnam. Because the planes were guided to their target by radar at the Bien Hoa air bases, and orders to drop the bombs were also issued from there, often the pilots themselves did not know they were bombing Cambodia. Those that did were ordered to falsify their flight logs upon returning to base to maintain the secrecy. In spite of the elaborate precautions, in May 1969, reports of the secret bombing were published in the American press. Nixon was furious.